我係張文樂，嚟聽講 Step 1。
This time on Step 1, we're going to start things off with the hardware review.
Yep, we're going to be reviewing some transcoders we got so you can play your DVD players or video game systems through your computer monitor.
And since that's dealing with a lot of HD stuff, we figured, might as well explain a lot of that in the Stuff You Should Know segment.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about resolutions and ratios and that sort of thing, and so you understand that better.
And after that, we're going to, hit back to the roots, do some programs that cost us a penny.
And we're going to have crap cleaner. So teach you how to clean the crap off your computer. Helps all of us get whatever random things from different uninstalls and
the prefetch and stuff that just really isn't necessary if you're a gamer or want to get the best performance out of your computer.
Exactly.
So
check it out.
Hope you enjoy it. A while back, me and Noah picked up two very similar products. Mine being Naoya's s02e03 transcoder.
And I got the K-World Computers 1440 TV box.
Now, on the simple side of things, they do two very similar things, and I'll explain that. What they do is they take a component input and spit it out as a VGA. This is very useful if you live in a dorm, apartment, or somewhere you just don't have enough space to have a nice computer monitor and another HD monitor. Now, the reason why I picked up this one is I saw, future use out of this. I could use the Wii on component, the PlayStation 3 on component, and then VGA for the VGA pass-through. This allows me to hook up all three consoles into one monitor and still reserve the DVI input on my monitor for my computer.
Exactly.
And now that became very useful now that I've been using it and switching it through, which I do have a complaint about my Acer monitor, the menus and stuff to get it across.
That is a pain.
But with this, I found it very useful hooking the Wii into here. But then again, I also had a few complaints. Some of the Wii games are not in EDTV, 480p, whatever you want to call it. Some of them are in 480i, even when it's spitting it over the component.
Exactly.
Which is a huge complaint when it comes to products like this, which do not handle 480i.
Yeah.
What it tries to say it handles when you buy it is like, oh, you can scan it and view little portions of it, but you can't see the whole image. And it's very
very hard to find the when you're trying to change the resolutions on the game or the system itself.
Yeah. But then some games like Heatseeker and Trauma Center did not support 480p at all. That means you will not be able to play those games on this transcoder.
Yeah.
Which becomes a problem when you're trying to maybe review a game and you can't play it. Now there's also a few more good things about it is the fact that this can do 1080p, full 1080p. Not interlaced, and it's not like de-interlacing anything, it's actually passing through that. And it spits it out in, whatever your monitor resolution may be, but for the most part it's 1080p out.
Yeah.
But one of the other issues, I'm going back and forth, but because, as you look around this, you're like, oh, that's good, that's bad, that's good, that's bad, that's good. Now it's for some more bad. We got dip switches. Yeah. Dip switches, you can have it tell. You know what signal is coming in. Why do dip switches? It was a pain to have to deal with it, and when you got 480i coming in, and then you're doing 480p, and then you're hooking your 360 in, and then you're hooking in this and that, becomes an issue.
It's almost as if it has a lack of intelligence inside of it.
Yeah, like a woman or something. But another good thing about it was the ability to switch between the two without pulling out cables and stuff like that. But there's a complaint about that. You have to 1, 2, 3. Oh, I want to go to this one now, so that's 2 away from here.
And it's a very big pain.
I don't want to do math. I want to play games. So that was pretty much the pros and cons of the S2 VGA. What were your thoughts on your product?
Well, mine is more of a TV converter for your LCD or CRT, more so than a gaming device. The gaming is kind of secondary spot.
Like a PlayStation 3.
Yeah, exactly. So when you plug it, you've got your cable plug-in, you've got your VGA plug-in component, RCA, S-Video, you've got all those, but they're not actually on the device in the back. You actually have different kinds of plugs you have to switch in and switch out, and can be a very big pain. For the TV, you have the remote that can save channels and all kinds of stuff like that. Most typical TV options.
Now, it's nice having a remote because you won't have to go up there and press the buttons like I do. I have to switch between my inputs. I don't keep this in a nice little useful spot right in front of me when I'm playing a game. It's off to the side by my consoles.
But a problem with this, though, about the remote, is you have to have the remote. To be on TV mode, you can change the volume and the channels on here. But if you lose the remote, you cannot switch between component in, cable in, RCA, any of the different signals you want in. And so then you're stuck, and this becomes worthless. Overall, it's a decent device, although I had some quality loss on gaming systems, and I had a slight snow effect. Now, I don't know if that had to do with my resolution. My resolution runs higher than 1440 by 900. I don't know if, because it was stretching the screen, if that was why. It probably was. But I also had a snow effect, which is like the fuzz kind of coming down at an angle, which is not needed. I thought we were, getting rid of that with HD televisions. I thought the signals were cleaner and better.
I didn't have that issue, but I did have a little bit of color loss. Like, not necessarily like the colors were displayed wrong. It just wasn't as rich and as bright as it could have been.
Exactly. It was a little dull. But overall, for a TV device, I would suggest getting this. It's a little bit cheaper than the X2 VGA. For gaming, if you're going to go with gaming and it's your main way of entertainment, go with the X2 VGA. But if you want a TV and gaming, go with the TV box. It's pretty decent. They now even have a newer version out that goes a little bit higher resolutions. And whether they fixed the snow issues or not, I don't know. But overall, it's a decent device. Not too bad of a price tag, but there are some issues still with this. But overall, pretty decent device.
Yeah, so when you're comparing the prices, I spent $79.99 on mine, now down to $59.99, and that was only a couple months. Now, Noah, you paid what?
I paid about $49.99 for this, and I think it's almost the same price for the newer revisions of this on Newegg.
Yeah, so you could pretty much get the same, both these for about the same price. Now, it just depends on what you want to do.
Exactly.
I was more into the gaming when I bought it, so I picked up this.
I was wanting the gaming, but I wanted a cheaper way through it. And plus, when I wanted to buy this actually was not in stock at the time, so this was my second choice.
Which also brings up another topic, is you can only buy this through the Naoya site. They don't offer you to buy it from anywhere else, and it's $20 shipping. Keep that in mind, because they're doing like one of those eBay things where they sneak the shipping in last minute.
Yeah, that's very annoying. So overall, this is going to be a little bit cheaper for you. Now, the quality is the issue, so you decide what you want and go from there.
All right, and that wraps it up. Naoya S2 VGA 2 seems like it's the winner, but don't be fooled. This does do a few more options than what this does, so your choice is up to you, and that's it.
Yeah. How do TV resolutions work?
Well, Noah, that's funny you should ask. About 30% of all TVs here in the U.S. are HD TVs. I don't think many people know how to use them.
I don't.
Probably not, and that's why this is stuff you should know.
Yay!
If you didn't already know, we're going to be talking about standards and resolutions. Now, HD, which is a phrase that's been thrown around a lot recently, actually stands for high definition. Now, prior to that, there was EDTV, which stands for enhanced definition. And then there was, before that, SDTV, which stands for standard definition. Now, let's start from the beginning and work our way up to HD. Now, the first thing was, here in America, since we're NTSC, we did 480i. That was our standard resolution that we worked with for a long time. Now, 480i, the way that works is they're telling you the vertical resolution, how many pixels there are vertically. Now, the horizontal is a different number, but vertically, there's 480. Now, because it's 480 interlace, it's not refreshing the same screen at the same time. So when it would throw up an image, it wouldn't be all at once. It would actually be all the even lines first, and then the odds would fill in. Or, depending on where you're at, it could also be, or what technology is being used, it could be the odd before the even. Now, the way it works is, because it's doing half of it at once and then it does the other half, it was easier to do it that way. Now, as time went on, we switched over to EDTV, which stands for enhanced definition. Enhanced definition is 480p, which the P stands for progressive, which means it's the entire screen at once refreshing. Now, some people, like me, can get headaches from interlaced footage, or interlaced video. So when you're watching it, it's like kind of annoying, or you're playing a game that might be interlaced, kind of gives you a little bit of headache. I get a headache in it, but back to the standard, it's EDTV. EDTV also introduced, for the most part, the widescreen format for the standard definition kind of realm. Now, EDTV is also the standard that's used in the Wii. 480p is also another term that's used. That allows you to have a progressive image, much like a DVD spits out, which is somewhere around 800 something like that pixels by somewhere around like 480 pixels, which it tends to be somewhere around 16 by 9, sometimes a little less than that. But now moving on to HD. HD, the way it works, there's two different ones, kind of three in some sense, but there's 720p, 1080i, and then 1080p. Now, if you're comparing them, I'm going to start with the progressive ones because that's my preference. But 720p, think of if you have a big TV and it's 52 inches or whatever, and it's 720p. They're taking an image that has 720 lines of vertical resolution and stretching it to fit that screen, or projecting it, or whatever it may be. Now, if you're dealing with 1080p, that's a whole lot more lines. You're getting more quality, more pixels, more information to represent what it originally looked like. Now, the way that works is it just stretches, or sometimes if it's a projector or whatever it may be, it has the image represented that size. The bigger the screen you go, you're going to want higher quality, higher definition, stuff like that, because you don't want to start seeing the pixels. If you have a 480p signal going into a 1080p screen, you're going to see those jagged edges for something that isn't anti-aliased and stuff like that. Now, if you have a 720p or 1080p, you're getting a whole lot more information. Now, if you had a smaller TV, like a 27-inch LCD, and it was a 1080p, think about that. Like, that's a whole lot more information crunched down into a small area. You're going to have a sharper image if you're on a smaller TV. So, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I got this huge HD TV, it's 720p, blah, 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 blah. Personally, I'd rather have, a little bit more of a conservative side of things when it comes to the size and with the bumped up resolution. That gives you a really, really sharp image, which is kind of like lost when you get these big screens and like people keep on pushing, oh, we can do 66 inches or we can do 62 inches or whatever it may be. You're kind of now stretching the image farther than it should have been to begin with. And that's, like, in some sense, you don't want to start hitting that line, because eventually, it's going to look like you're looking at standard definition again. Now, to continue things, we have different cables that the information is carried across. There's component, there's DVI, and HDMI. Now, I know in other countries like Europe, I think they have the S card or something like that. I don't know too much about it. I believe it's just equivalent to our S video, which is still 480i. Now, so you have those three standards. Now, the older one, which should be considered the component cables, looks like an RCA cable. A lot of people confuse them with composite because there is a red cable, and you're like, oh, that's my right channel or whatever. But that is actually component cables. Now, you look at them and you're like, oh, these look old-fashioned, or they're old cables. Well, they can do a lot of good if you know how to use it. If you set your TV to the right output, you're setting your devices to the right, or setting your devices to the right output and setting your TV to the right input, you actually get a pretty good signal on those things, especially if they're really like monster cable or equivalents, or you made your own and actually spent some time and money on it. Now, they also have what they call as DVI. Now, DVI has a few different standards within the cable. DVI can actually carry VGA standard analog, kind of signal on it too. It's got digital pins and analog pins. Now, the benefit of that is if, you have some devices, you're not sure if it's analog or digital, it should be picked up either or. It'll use either or. But some of them will only carry the digital signal in there. Now, the equivalent of DVI and HDMI, it's practically the same thing, but the HDMI will carry audio. Now, HDMI allows you to put 7.1 channels of audio, and I believe they're pushing that up to 8 or something like that, maybe 9 soon. It's crazy, like, how much information is being sent on this cable. It's like, but that didn't support that when it came out. Well, HDMI gets upgraded. There's newer versions of HDMI that comes out. And I believe some devices allow you to flash the firmware inside of them so that you can expand your TV to support newer things, or maybe your receiver box or computer, or whatever it may be. Now, don't quote me on that, because I think there is, and there has been some, but I know you can update your firmware on a lot of things and enable new features. Now, so that covers pretty much the cables and also the televisions. But also, sometimes you're getting your cable, whatever, or your signal from either over-the-air broadcast, satellite, or through digital cable. Now, digital cable, it's great, it's cheap, you get a lot of cool things, you get all the standard definition stuff, and you get some HD stuff. Really cool. Now, that's good quality, but they're having to compress it. They can only fit so much information over that cable. Now, with satellite, they have a little bit more bandwidth, but then again, you're based off the weather, any kind of magnetic fields. There's a lot of things that can really mess up satellite. But they're getting better at that. So it's like, if you live in the middle of nowhere, go with satellite. Now, as time has gone on, now you're seeing your local Channel 9s and Channel 6s, ABCs, whatever it may be. They're now broadcasting a over-the-air broadcast of HD. Now, from what I understand, this is uncompressed. This is the best HD signal you can get, and it's free. Now, you can look up online. I'll put a list of the main websites. I think that you type in your zip code, and it'll tell you where. And if you have a digital tuner and you have an antenna, you can actually get free HD 1080p broadcast that isn't compressed, and you don't have to pay for it. So that pretty much covers stuff you should know. I'm sure I forgot a lot of stuff. It's a big topic, but maybe we'll revisit it in the future if it's necessary. Hope you enjoyed it.
Say you bought a computer about a year ago, or maybe even 6 months ago. It's not running quite as fast as when you first got it. Well, we have a Windows optimization tool for you that might just work. It's called ccleaner. Let's get right into it. ccleaner is a Windows optimization tool, and a lightweight one at that, coming in at less than 3 megs and can install just about anywhere, including USB flash drives. It removes unused Windows temporary files, internet cookies, and internet temp files, and application data that, you really don't need. Application cleaning includes temporary files of common programs such as Nero, Windows Office, and WinRAR, and just various Adobe programs that you might have installed on your computer. Another cool feature of ccleaner, it comes with a registry cleaner that checks file extension, shared DLLs, and invalid shortcuts. And that might just be the little thing that helps speed up your PC. Cleaning a bunch of junk up in your registry, definitely help out. When cleaning your PC, you want to use this with an conjunction with spyware removal programs such as Adware and Spybot, and your favorite defragger. Now make sure to defrag after you use this program because it cleans up a lot of files, and you don't want to get the defragger confused. Anyway, this optimization tool is secure and has a bunch of checks put in place so that you can make sure that you can't delete useful info. For all you multilingual people out there, it comes in 35 different languages. So in case you si habla español or le gongdonghua, it's all good for you. Now that wraps it up for this week's programs that cost less than a penny. See you next week.
You enjoyed this episode of Step 1.
Yeah, definitely.
For the most part, we'll just consider this episode 3, even though there's a few middle of the month kind of things going on.
No more of that.
Yeah.
We're done with that. We're sorry.
We do have a little announcement for December, which is only going to be like a December kind of thing because of how big November is.
Yeah, definitely November we had a lot of game releases, as many of you know. And with Christmas coming up, we thought we would have some Gamer's Edge episodes where we just review a bunch of games. And so you know what you want to get for Christmas or whatever you celebrate. That one. And so there might be a few of them. There might be a couple. We're not sure yet. But go ahead and check those out. And then we also have the season finale coming up in the end of this month. So go ahead and check that out. And pretty much that's it for the announcements.
Yeah. So expect Wii, PC, and 360 reviews. We don't have a PlayStation 3 because we don't have that kind of money.
Exactly.
So hope you enjoy what's coming and expect something within the next week or so.
Yeah.